Hi there, I'm Andrea Koppel, and it's Time for Coffee, the podcast where you get to hear firsthand what the jobs and careers that interest you the most are really like. Hey there, Java junkies. Welcome back to another episode of T4C. If you're interested in multimedia journalism or how to DIY your journalism career, then this is definitely the episode for you. Because my next guest is credited with inventing the concept of the VJ, or video journalist, over 30 years ago. But before I introduce you to Michael Rosenblum, I want to make sure you've signed up for the Java Junkies Journal. That's Time for Coffee's weekly newsletter where you can get an exclusive peek inside the episodes and the professionals we're going to be featuring that week. And it is so easy to do. Just head over to the Time for Coffee website at time4coffee.org, and the sign-up box is right there on the homepage. Now, my Java-loving journalists and aspiring journalists, please grab your mug and take a chug of your favorite caffeinated brew, because it's time for another caffeinated career conversation. And my distinguished next guest is Michael Rosenblum, the CEO of Rosenblum TV, a world leader in video training. Over 30 years ago, in 1988, that's probably before many of you were born, Michael pioneered the creation of what's known as the one-man band, or VJ, video journalist. Essentially, that's a reporter who travels the world or the country alone with a video camera or maybe with their iPhone and shoots, edits, and reports on their own stories. As a pioneer, Michael also founded the New York Times TV, and he co-founded Current TV along with former Vice President Al Gore. To date, Michael and his wife have trained over 40,000 people. I'm guessing it may even be more than that, to shoot, edit, and tell stories, whether for television, online, or for corporations. Michael, welcome to Time for Coffee. Are you caffeinated and ready to go?
I'm ready to go, Andrea.
Okay, but not caffeinated.
Oh, no, not caffeinated. Only green tea, but close as I can get.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I just like to check, but green tea actually does have caffeine in it.
Well, in that case, I'm really caffeinated up. I've had 4 cups already.
Oh, my gosh. But it's super healthy with all those antioxidants. Okay,
exactly.
Here we go for the 10 espresso shots. First one, what entry-level jobs, Michael, are available to young people who want to break into journalism?
Well, Andrea, in today's world, it's all about content, and it's really all about video content. Cisco says 85% of all internet traffic is going to be video. So if any of your listeners out there have an iPhone or a smartphone, that's pretty much all it takes to get started.
What are the entry-level jobs? I mean, it sounds to me like you're saying, again, DIY, just start your own.
Every website today needs video. Every business needs video. In the old days, it was television networks and cable, but today every single person needs video. And if you can learn to make, cut, and edit watchable, interesting video, that's the entry-level job. I'm not a great believer in associate producer, assistant producer, research, or any of that stuff. Like being a writer, start writing. If you want to be in the video business, just start making video.
Terrific. What is a useful skill or skills that you look for, Michael, and have looked for over the years in the young people that you hire?
What we generally do, Andrea, is whether they know how to shoot and cut or not is immaterial. We generally give people a phone and send them out for an hour and say, bring back a story. It can be out of focus and a mess. But if they're aggressive, if they have what we call chutzpah in New York, that's what we're looking for. It's fearlessness.
Absolutely. Just go and do it, even if you fall on your face, right?
Correct.
What about someone's major, Michael? And I know that you majored in history and art. So here's the question. Does it matter what their major is if they want to break into video journalism?
No, it's absolutely immaterial. In fact, some of the most successful people I just dealt with were actually business and finance majors. Although you may think that's kind of a living death, but at least it taught them to be organized.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, it would be kind of my intellectual equivalent of sticking needles in my eyes. So,
me too.
What about a graduate school degree? Less so for those who are just starting out, in their careers, maybe more so for young people who may want to start their own business the way that you have and do video in whatever way, shape, or form?
I taught at both Columbia Journalism School and NYU Journalism School. And at the first day of class, I always told the students to go to the bursar's office and get their money back. So I'm not a great fan.
Popular.
The faculty ultimately threw me out. I used to tell them, get your money back, take the money, go buy a video camera, and come and see me, and I'll teach you how to do this in a week. Pretty much what graduate school is good for, which is not much.
Okay, well, you got your answer, young people. Don't go to grad school, according to Michael. So what about life experiences? What, in your opinion, are the most useful ones to have for someone starting out in this industry?
There are two useful skills that we look for in terms of life experience. One is the more stuff that has happened to you, the more difficulty you've encountered, the more stories you have to tell, the better you're going to be at this. And then we look for people who just are natural raconteurs, the kind of person who sits at a dinner table or party and just likes to regale people with stories of their adventure. That works the best for us.
Oh, fantastic. Michael, what is the best part for you of being in this line of work?
Well, aside from making vast amounts of money for doing next to nothing, I'd say that the other part is you get to meet interesting people and go interesting places, and someone pays you to do it, which is pretty astonishing.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I like to say when I was a journalist the first 20 years of my professional life is that I got paid to have a front row to history.
Yeah, absolutely. Or just to stay in great hotels.
Okay. Well, that was true when I worked at CNN, but not so much when I was in local. Okay. So every career, every job has a flip side. What is the part of your current job, Michael, that sucks the most?
Well, I would say two things about this. First, if you're in business for yourself, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And people who want to work for us, we always say, if you don't show up for work on Saturday, don't bother coming in on Sunday. So you have to be 110% committed. And that's probably the most difficult part that people have the hardest time with. There's no downtime and there's no personal life if you want to be successful.
Wow, that's a pretty tough lesson to give.
Well, we always say, if you want to work 9 to 5, go somewhere else. You will not be happy and I won't be happy. So that's a good place to start or end.
Absolutely. And I think honesty is the best policy, and be straightforward. Michael, what has been the best career advice that you've ever gotten?
Good question. I would say two things. The best career advice I ever got was from my rabbi in this business, a man named Carl Spielvogel, who founded the biggest ad agency in the world, Backer, Spielvogel, Bates. And he was sort of the basis for Mad Men. And he said to me, always go to the CEO. He said, anything else is a waste of time. If you can convince the CEO, it's a done deal. And if you can't, it's also a done deal. And I followed that rule of thumb ever since.
Terrific.
The second one is that for the last 30 years, I try to write 100 letters every week to people that I just read about, or stories that I find interesting, or people I've come across. It's only 3 a day, so it's not exactly terrible. And of the 100 letters that I write, I would say I get about 10 answers. And of the 10 answers, I get about one deal if I'm lucky, which means I run a 99% failure rate, which is fine. But you have to have the 100 to make the 1% work.
I don't remember who it was that said, if you don't get at bat, you don't make any hits.
No, that's correct. And you have to be prepared to strike out most of the time. But all you need is one home run every once in a while, and you've done very well.
Absolutely. So we're down to our last 2 espresso shots. What movies, if any, Michael, or Hulu, Netflix, Amazon shows, or books do you think accurately depict your profession?
Certainly my own book, iPhone Millionaire, which you can get on Amazon, depicts the profession as best possible. But the other one that I think depicts the profession really well and really changed the course of my life was a book called Amusing Ourselves to Death by Neil Postman, who I was friends with. He died about 25 years ago, but he was a professor at NYU. And he really opened my eyes to the potential and the dangers of the medium and why it's so important to take control of it.
Fantastic. We will include both of those books in our show notes. Final espresso shot. What would Java junkies be surprised to learn about the field of video journalism?
I think people would be surprised to learn it's a lot easier than it seems, and it's a lot more difficult than it seems. It's easier than it seems because there's no barrier to entry to television or media world anymore. And for the same reason, because it's so competitive, it's a lot more difficult than it once was.
I totally get that, and I agree 100%. Michael, thank you so much for making time for coffee today with me and the Time for Coffee community. This was wonderful.
Thanks, Andrea. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for listening to Time for Coffee, where the professionals in the jobs that most interest you always have time to grab coffee 24/7, no matter where you live. I have one quick favor to ask you. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Time for Coffee. Thanks so much.